Hello everybody, and I am going over the PTB patch notes yet again. This is a really interesting one, because we have the new killer, the new survivor, all that good stuff. So, let us get into it. Obviously, with the PTB, the way that it works is it keeps like a certain date of your progress, and it transfers that to the PTB. And then yeah, you get, some orc cells just to look at the outfits if you want to like try out like the ultra rare if they have one. But essentially power, very cool. Isn't anything too crazy though. You send out a chase. Apparently it's very, the search is very buggy, but the entire point is that you send out a search on like a gen, the dog goes to the gen, and then it's like, hey, there's a thing here, and you can follow along with the dog and get it's like a 1% haste. And then furthermore, you have chase, which is essentially like a way shittier version of Wesker's dashes, because Wesker physically moves with the dash, while in this one it's the dog that's moving, and then they grab the survivor, not actually damaging them, but bringing them to you, or they're supposed to, so you can get a hit. So overall, the problem immediately with this killer is that, so we already know that Wesker's a strong killer, he's a good killer, he's like a benchmark where killers should be power-wise, right? So the fact that you're making a character who is kind of like Wesker, but like way freaking worse in like every single scenario, why? Why do that? There's no point to do that. It should just be that like the dog either needs to act way faster than Wesker does, so then it's worth it. Or it needs to be able to do things that literally Wesker can't do, and having like 1 or 2% haste when you follow the dog, and it's really bad pathing, isn't gonna do anything. I will say, behavior is obviously going to fine tune things. This is a very like weird and quirky thing to program. This is pretty much like a harder thing to program, so it definitely is going to have a lot of problems. There's so many maps with so many stupid like indoor maps versus outdoor maps versus like weird designs where you only can get through there with a vault, and then the dog has to consider that because it doesn't take vaults, and it's a very hard thing to actually program. So it is great that they're doing this PTB a bit early, so then they can actually really iron out these kinks, because this is a hard thing to program. However, power-wise, love of God, look to Wesker and say, we need to make the dog feel crazier than the dash because you're not moving. You physically don't move. So if you hit someone like 32 meters away, you're not going to get that. But if Wesker, you hit someone 32 meters away, they're getting hit. And then there's Hound Sense, which so perks, these are pretty decent overall. All Shaking Thunder is like pretty cool. It is map dependent, obviously. But overall, it's just like, hey, that's really cool. You just get like crazy lunges for a little bit. A lot of killers can do crazy, funny things with this, so I'm sure it's going to be a very fun perk for people to use. Scourge Hook Jagged Compass is absolutely amazing. I do see a meta where people run Scourge Hook Jagged Compass with even just like honestly any Scourge Hook that isn't the basement one, because the basement one's terrible. Just because you can run it with pop. You can run basically something on the lines of, it's kind of hard to say, because like if you do it with pain res, it's like, well, then you already used Dead Man Switch, so you don't need the pop. But essentially it tells you the information of where people are doing progress on gens, and yeah, maybe even, pain res with pop, you go over to that gen, you shut it down. But I think for this, even though they're reworking Freddy Krueger, I really hope Freddy keeps his gen teleport, because that is one of the cool things of his power, is that he focuses on the objective. And then if that is the case, then you can literally just teleport to the gen, pop it, and then be like, hey, and that'd be pretty cool. No quarter. This is just, the good old Merciless Storm, but for healing skill checks. But it's only when you self-heal. Fair enough. If you want to run this with Doctor, probably a funny build. The new Survivor is cool as hell because the new Survivor's actually a bad bitch, and we love that. So the first thing we have is Invocation Treacherous Crows. I do not know if invocations stack. If they do, then may as well, even though you wouldn't ever run this anyway. Essentially, when you finish your invocation, like with the other invocation, you're broken for the rest of the trial, so you're probably just going to run no either. When a survivor is in the tear radius of the killer and scares a crow, their aura is revealed to all survivors for 2 seconds. This should be like 5 seconds. And then furthermore, it's just so like, Like, we already have like perks. Like, I know that it shows everyone, so like that's pretty cool. But like, it should be something like crazier. I feel like the idea is great. Like, making like the idea, the name, it all works thematically. It's sick. But it's just kind of Clean break. So essentially, this is kind of like the hero moment, good old perk on the Belmont, where you can become broken and then heal yourself. But in this case, instead of it being when you're hit after you earn it, this is just if you heal another someone, you can just become broken, go on gens with resilience, and just get some resilience value, which it's fine. 60 seconds and then you become healthy is okay. I do think it would be a bit better if they made it just 40 seconds, but maybe that would be too much. But overall, I do think Clean Break, it has uses, definitely. But it's one of those things where it's a pretty big gamble. I feel like a healing thing should just be 40 seconds, because that's already like over 50, or like basically 50% slower. But yeah. And then we have Shoulder the Burden, which is one of the sickest perks ever created in all of DBD. Great job, behavior. This is fucking awesome. So once per trial, as long as you are not on Death Hook, you can use this perk to unhook a survivor when you're in front of them, and then they lose a hook state and you gain it. You also scream and become exposed for 20 seconds. Run Hardened with this, I would say, because then you can turn. Like, I think a really good build for Shoulder the Burden is obviously that perk will make it dead hard and hardened. So hardened, you'll be able to see the killer's terror radius, see the killer's aura, know if you want to heal under hook, but you're also making it so then that survivor doesn't worry. The only problem is the fact that dead hard. I do think that dead hard should just be whenever you get a hook state, gain a token. Furthermore, you start with a token, maximum 3 tokens. Just because it feels so shitty when your dead hard gets eaten by lag or something, and then you get hooked again, and it's like, well, I guess I lost my dead hard. And it's not really a perk you can really abuse, because it has the deep wounds effect to it, unlike what it used to have, where it could be abused because you literally just did it for distance. Now there has that, it's like you can't use it with Blood Rush, you can't use it with anything. You can only use it once per chase, and if they're in chase with you, they're gonna finish that chase most of the time, so. Basically, now all activities will have better clarity on what survivors are doing. This is great because it means that people are actually going to be able to know, oh, they're blessing a totem, oh, they're, syringing themselves, oh, they're getting out of madness, all the good stuff. Perks, clarity. One of the things I'm really happy about, I will go up a little bit, is they've re-added powers and perks previews on bio page. This was one of the things that really annoyed me. I would look on the bio page for a fair bit of time, and I'd be like, I just want to see what the perks are called, because I forgot what the perks are called. And then I'm like, oh, I can't do that. And then I have to go into the search bar and type in Jill or something, and be like, oh, it's called Resurgence. Oh, cool. Okay. Furthermore, the store is getting updated. So now, let's go into the changes. So Dark Lord, the Shapeshift cooldown is now 1 second longer. The Hellfire cooldown is now 3 seconds longer. The Wolf form has a 1 second lower spawn rate of scent orbs. And the Pounce is now decreased by 15%. Which is 0.15 seconds. All of these don't matter. All they needed to do was make it that the bat wasn't as good, and to really buff the wolf form. And Hellfire is fine. Hellfire, the only really crazy thing about it is that you can trade hooks like a motherfucker. But with wolf form, it literally was, why would I use this thing? I honestly think wolf form should have like a 24 or 16 meter terror radius and be like kind of like the sneaky scary form, because the bat, you can hear that shit from like 20 miles away. So the wolf form should be the kind of thing that you use to close in on someone, you get a sneaky hit on them, and then you go into maybe your bat form, teleport to something, and then you come out, and then you take a few seconds, so like the survivors, like throughout that progress, have like a bunch of time to do stuff, but if you get us right and you do well, you can then, raise the fire and burn them down. But obviously, with these changes, we're not going to see wolf form like at all. Maybe you use it every now and again if it's literally a straight line. But like, Demogorgon. So I actually looked at the Demogorgon add-ons and I was like confused for a second. But essentially, portal setting, entry, and travel time are now just faster. The travel time especially is much faster now, being like almost 50% faster. It's kind of crazy. It's 40% faster, I think. But the other ones are just 0.15s, which I think is like just the safest number. At least go for 0.2% off. But I guess. All of the ceilings on all of the ceiling time ones, where basically, sealing the portals takes longer, whatever. Now lessened, I believe. It's kind of hard to read it properly. Like, increases the sealing time of portals by 10%. So that seems like it's a massive nerf, which I don't understand. So I guess maybe they want the portals to be way more easy to seal when you use these add-ons. But yeah. Lifeguard Whistle, it gives you 2 more portals. This one wasn't really massively used because it was this kind of... Actually, no, it was very used. Sorry, the opposite. I don't play Demogorgon. Because what this would do is... It would tell you immediately someone was doing something, so you could put down a portal, immediately travel over, and be like, well up, bitch, I'm gonna hit you. And there was nothing you could do about it, because they could just put it near gens, they could put it near anything, and then they could just immediately know when anyone was doing anything, and it was really unfair. So with Ghostface, what they did is they just removed, like, half of the effectiveness of his common add-ons, the good ones, which is Philly and the Matchbook, and they put that to base kit, and then they halved the effectiveness of those add-ons. So now you just have, 3 seconds off cooldown, and 0.5 seconds off marking a survivor, which is fine. Then we have the good guy. The good guy overall is kind of interesting. They've removed the scamper time by 0.3 seconds, which is actually a big change. And then basically the cooldown is slightly bigger, so this should hopefully make it less annoying to go against him. But the thing that everyone always complains about is, oh, but he can see me around walls and I can't do my stupid bullshit. Don't rely on stupid bullshit. So then we have the Lich. Essentially, all of his generally okay spells, so Dispelling Sphere and Flight of the Damned, have a 3 second cooldown reduction. Fly has a cooldown reduction of 13, so you are going to be allowed to actually traverse the map way better. The one problem with Fly, though, is it feels so finicky with the movement that you often lose a lot of the speed that you would gain because you're, zigzagging as you go forward. And Mage Hand has been increased by 2 seconds. So essentially, the most powerful one has a longer cooldown. But in most scenarios, Flight of the Damned can also be absolutely crazy, especially with the Iridescent. So it's going to be interesting with that. But it's only like 3 seconds, so who cares? Increase the cooldown of cancelling a spell to 1.25 seconds. This targets the fly bug that was in the game for a little bit, where essentially you could go to fly, cancel fly, go into fly and use it, and then it would get rid of the like arbitrarily long startup and end. So then you could basically like insta go into something, hit someone, and it was actually pretty crazy. So this, I think, gets rid of that tech. And basically, Dispelling Sphere now doesn't, actually disable magic items as long. So a bit of a trade-off for a bunch of the other effects, which I think is just better. Like Fly being able to be like spammed way more. Like you just down someone, fly. Chase not going well, fly out of there. But it also means that a lot of the tech is also gone now, so kind of rough in a few different ways. So essentially, the cooldown reductions of spell add-ons have been reduced by 2 seconds each. Mastermind, this one's a really funny one. So they kind of did the same thing that they did with Ghostface, but they buffed Mastermind, which means that, like, they buffed a top 10 killer for no reason. Even if it's something as minor as this, it's still funny. But now let's get into Shape, and this is the reason why I'm making this video. They basically nerfed Shape in a way. I'll get into it, right? So, increase evil within one's movement speed to 4.4 meters, which means now you are no longer the slowest killer. You are basically a Huntress, or, a ranged killer speed. And then as well, every survivor now has double the stalk that they used to have, which means that theoretically you're never going to run out of your power because, Jesus Christ. Also, getting to tier 2 now has basically half the requirement, which is really great. However, this is the thing that really kills, in my opinion, Myers. We all wanted this, but we did not want it to hamper his ability to play the game. Increased the evil within gain multiplier when stalking from afar. We don't know what afar means, by the way. To 1. So that means 1 per second. And decreased the gain multiplier when stalking from up close. 0.4. Yet again, we don't know what these ranges are. So this could be, if you're 32 meters away from the survivor, you stalk at what would be a normal rate. If you're 16 meters away, you stalk at like a fair bit under, but still not crazy under, what you would expect normally right now. And if you are stalking right at them, you stalk at piss-all. Not as piss-all as it used to be, but basically piss-all. What I think they should have done is made it that if you stalk from afar, you get like 1.5% stalk, and then if you stalk up close, you get like 0.8. Or like 1.6 from afar, 0.8 close. Like it can be like a little bit of a penalty. But like 0.4 is like there's so many maps where you don't have line of sight on people. Like if you go on like Leary's, or like if you go on any indoor map, this is the biggest pain, because it's just like, well, fuck. It is interesting that whenever the survivor, if you hit a survivor and then they start to run away and there's nothing blocking you, you actually get a faster tier up as they run away, which is kind of cool. It actually is really thematic and cool, which I like. But the fact that it's so bad up close is going to be so shitty for so many maps or situations, because you're just going to be like, oh, I found you on the gen. Because like the idea is, you want to make sure that your stalk, when you go into tier 3, it does as much as physically possible. And it's not going to be able to do that if literally, when you stalk someone up close, you get nothing. Like you can't like expect a person to stalk 32 meters away, get to tier 3 and be like, okay, I am now going to walk up to you with my very loud terror radius, and you're going to stay on that gen and not run away. It's so bad. Like, it's like, yeah, if you 99 the thing and then go up to it, it literally does nothing. But there's going to be so many scenarios on so many maps where it's just like, shape is worse now. But, you know, with the movement speed thing, like, you know, tier 1 and tier 2 being, like, better is, like, okay. But making tier 3 feel like it's, like, sometimes is just, it's already a stressful thing running in, like, doing a tier 3. Because it's like, if I don't do well, I've wasted my entire game. But yeah, add-on wise, they basically made it so then, all of, not all of them, but, like, the notable ones have been changed. So, basically, these add-ons you see here, the only add-ons he has, basically. Except for the increased stalk rate ones. So Evil Within 3, 3, 3, 3, upped by 20, 50%, 20, and 15. From 10, 100%, 10, and 7.5. So Tombstone Piece is now doubled the amount, which is fair. Evil Within, if you want to have tier 3 Myers going crazy, you need to fully stalk 2 survivors and like a quarter of another survivor. But that is also taking into the fact that, you know, it's way crazier. I do see though that if you do go for the infinite tier 3, if you're on a big map and you can get like a line of sight of someone, you will like stalk crazy good. Because they will just like, if you can really be in a spot where they can't see you, you can like de-stalk them crazily. Like if there's literally 2 people on a gen and you're able to stalk them, before they finish that gen, you will literally be able to be tier 3 Moy Myers. There's no game. Because that was the thing, is because he had to be close to you, it made the Moy Myers feel like there was a lot more like at stake. You had to chase, you had to make sure that you kept line of sight out of the way, so then he couldn't get his stalk up. But now, because he's like just watching afar, if you're not perceptive enough to see him, like he could be in like the stupidest of places where it's like a tiny crack through a wall, but if he can still see you, you're boned. And that's the thing that's kind of crazy. Scratched Mirror now makes it so then you have regular, like OG movement Evil Within 1 movement speed, just so then that one is perfectly fine. I do think that they should have done a full add-on rework with this character. I do know that, you know, they're not doing a full rework with Shape, but come on. Overall, though, I do think this is a great benefit to Shape. I just think that it's a bit quirky and a bit weird with these 2 stats especially. But I'm sure that overall it's going to be a massive boost. Even just the fact that you have double the points to work with is fantastic. And they also made it that literally getting to tier 2 is like the easiest shit in the game. So no one should ever complain about being in tier 1. So let's go into the killer perks. Dominance is now basically doubled the, you know, blocking duration, which is nice. Might be used, but probably not. Human Greed is still terrible, because why would you spend time kicking chests and being bad at the video game when you could just run a good perk? The problem with Human Greed, 1, is that the survivors get to know that you have it. This should be a perk where they don't know you have it. And then furthermore, it's like the most mid effect. Like, oh, you get to see the thing. Like, the reason why Darkness Awakens is so good is because chests lockers are almost always placed near a gen. So it just tells you where people are working on gens. Chests are like nowhere near that useful. Languid touch. So whenever they scare a crow, they get, you know, exhausted for 10 seconds, but now it has a better cooldown. So this is a Lich perk, and the other Lich perk, Weave Attunement. Essentially, now when you see when they drop the aura, drop the item, they can now see the item while they're being affected by Weave Attunement, which is now 8 meters instead of 12. So they can't actually, you know, they know it's there, so they can just pick it up again. Furthermore, when they do pick up an item, they suffer from Oblivious, which is kind of cool. General Survivor update is that decrease the time it takes to unlock chests to 8 seconds, so just a 2-second decrease. But this does mean, with another one of the changes that will be coming up, like that can go crazy fast. So let's go into these. Ace in the Hole, essentially now it can get you every single add-on in the game. So my add-on challenge for my Ace in the Hole challenge with Detective Tap is going to be going through full force. Furthermore, now you always, at level 3, always get 2 add-ons. This is great. Buckle Up is just better worded, apparently. Weaving Spiders is now written better, I guess. So now Pharmacy always gives you a medkit, and always allows you to unlock chests 100% faster, which with the 8 makes it 4 seconds. So you will literally unlock chests in 4 seconds. And the unlocking sound is reduced by 20 meters. Apparently, chests have a really loud noise. I thought it was like kind of like an 8-meter thing already. But yeah, and now it was 8. So now literally they just won't be able to hear you opening chests. So that's really freaking good. Plunderer's Instinct is now better as well. So hey, if you're running the chest builds, you have cooler stuff. They basically doubled the aura reading. I think Plunderer's Instinct should literally just say, you see the auras of all chests. That should just be what it is. And then it increases the odds of better items by 10, 25, 50. That should be how it works, but you know, c'est la vie. Scene Partner is now a bit sillier, so it has like an extra second. So cool, but the cooldown is also 20 seconds better as well, which is actually really freaking good. The bot is now better at movement, which is nice, and let's just look through these and see if there's anything that's actually interesting. A lot of these are the new map stuff. So some collision changes on some other maps. Okay, well one, like Leary's is getting fixed. So Thrill of the Hunt was not correct at one point. Deathbound, Devour Hope with self unhooking. Okay. Oh, so this is actually one that's really important. So, fixed an issue where the prestiges were in the wrong order. I literally had to level up the Lich to P6 because I wanted the weapon. And it was the most annoying shit ever. Furthermore, I wanted the Trevor Belmont coat bloodied because I was like, oh, well, maybe, you know, before Soma Cruz came out, I now have the Deep Rift version of that, so of course I'm going to use that. It's like, oh, I got the headpiece, so I guess screw me. But yeah, other than that, you know, Houndmaster, just some like little quirkies. And yeah, thank you so much for Behavior for just making all these patch notes. It's really nice to look through them. It's really nice to have just knowledge. I would really like to see more of these often enough. Like, Ghostface got changed in the tiniest way possible. He is like a bad killer. Same with Demogorgon. It would be nice to see just like every 2 months, every 3 months, they get the bottom 5 killers and they tweak the numbers a tiny bit. And then they keep doing that until everyone's at like Wesker level. Obviously we have the outliers, because I feel like Nurse kind of has to just be the strongest character in the game. Because if there isn't a strongest character that breaks the game, then it just means that no matter what survivors at high level will win. At least with Nurse, you know, competitive play is interesting. Even though it's not interesting because it's only Nurse at the super high level. But yeah, really happy overall with the shape changes. I know I sounded pretty negative when I was going over them. But overall, I'm really happy that they did a lot with him. I just wish that stalking up close wasn't a death wish, because, as I said, on some maps, you literally cannot do it otherwise. But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think these changes are pretty cool? Do you think they're pretty lame? Do you think that they should have done more or less? What do you think about the PTB? I'm not going to go into it personally. And do you think it's awesome that you can pet the dog as the new killer Houndmaster? I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.